Constructions fans, hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the Suzuki SV650 restoration. I have an apology first off and foremost. I am the absolute king of procrastination when it comes to making these videos. This bike has come a long way and a much faster timeline than I was expecting, and I have been terrible about uploading those videos in a timely manner. So that is my fault, I apologize. In today's video, the Suzuki has been down for a little while now, and the main reason being, after a very long troubleshooting process, is this. My battery is close to being dead, so that is also part of the problem. However, the main reason she is not starting is because of a little fella underneath this cover right here, also known as a stator. This little fella is a stator, and it provides electrical power to your motorcycle. It also provides spark to all two cylinders. And I am not getting that spark, and this motorcycle is incapable of moving right now or firing because of that. So let's dive into installing this little friend. First thing on the list, we're gonna do a little bit of an oil change. This bike needs one anyway, and we're gonna do one for the stator swap. In case anyone's curious, this is a PH6018 from Fram. They're pretty good. Have not had an issue with them yet. Just gonna throw some oil on here, install a new oil filter, and then we'll be right on to the stator. Next, we're gonna remove this little cover. There's 1, 2, 3 8mm bolts. Zap those off real fast. I always like to undo things with a ratchet first, just in case it's super tight, and then I'll zap it off with the impact. That is dirty. Next, we have a number of bolts we need to remove around the case here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and crank those off. All right, stator cover is now off. We can take a quick peek at the stator and inspect it. It looks pretty good to me. All these gears in here, taking a quick peek at them, making sure everything looks intact, which it all does. There's no fragments at the bottom or anything. I'm feeling around with my finger, not seeing anything. All looks in one piece, and that's why I'm glad I drained the oil before I did this. Okay, after referencing a few diagrams and taking some covers off, I found that the wiring harness is right here. Got it all unplugged now. I'll be pulling it out, and then we'll pull the whole stator unit off, replace it with the new one, and wire it back in. All right, this is a 5, it's 3 bolts, come right off. It's not helping that everything's oily. Now you could detach the clutch. In terms of simplicity, I'm not going to, just to make things a little easier. Just have it hang. I did pull the gasket off. It did tear, so we're gonna need to take a razor blade and gently remove the gasket material before we can install the new gasket. Okie doke, here is the full stator removed. Took note on how everything went in, and this is another benefit of filming while taking things apart, just so you know how it goes back together. So when installing new parts, it's always good to compare. These look just about identical. I really don't see any differences. They all look good, so let's go ahead and install this new one right here, just like so. And then this little fella's gonna go in that, and then that will go and install at the seam. Hopefully there's no leaks. Alrighty, new stator is installed. Next step is to clean up the mating surface in order for the new gasket. You can see the old gasket decided to disintegrate into a bunch of pieces, so that is why we're gonna have to clean that up, and you probably have to clean it up anyway, so razor blade and a green scour pad will take good care of that. So I'm just using some simple green as a lubricant, as well as a scour pad, and then if all the tough spots I can't get, I'll use a razor blade. You wanna try to avoid using the razor blade just because it could gouge it. A gouge in there, which could cause leaks. Okay, that gasket material is finally off. We have our brand new gasket here we're gonna go ahead and install. Key to this is just slowly take your time using a degreaser or carb cleaner or a brake cleaner, anything, same thing. And just go through and slowly work around and get all of the material nice and smooth. Now, if you have any nicks in it, like a razor blade nicked it, that will leak. So what I do, I take a piece of the green scour pad or maybe a super fine sandpaper and smooth it out. Because if you have those little nicks in there, it will leak. Let's get to installing our new gasket. Now that all the bolts are finger tight, I'm gonna go ahead and use my torque wrench and torque them down to 7 foot-pounds each. Now that all the stator cover bolts are on, it's time to run the wire back up through and plug into the OEM wiring harness. Stator cover is back on, clutch assembly is back on. Now it's time to fill her up with oil, charge the battery because it's very dead, and give it a start. Let's hope this starts. Just got back from a test ride. She runs great. She's doing everything she's supposed to. Really stoked on my my work on that. What I didn't show off camera is that somehow I didn't tighten down the stator bolts. So when I first started it up, it was all clank, 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 clank running around. I was like, what the heck is that? So I took it apart, saw that they were loose, tightened them down. Everything's good now. One problem I did notice on the test ride is this little guy. This little clutch starting to slip. I did some decent sized pulls into the roughly 8 to 11,000 RPM range, and it was slipping quite a bit. Like, noticed the tack was sitting here, I'd mash on the throttle and throttle would spike, however the bike wouldn't go anywhere. So that is a sign that your clutch is slipping. Probably gonna be the next video on this. Other than that, this Suzuki is just about done. The riding season here in Washington is coming to an end, unfortunately. We have a lot of rain here, so probably gonna put the bike away for the season and start on the next project. Please like and subscribe if you think I have deserved that. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.